everyone, Stephanie here, coffee drinker, book lover, and reviewer of many things. And today, normally you would be getting a book review, but I haven't finished either of the books that I'm reading. So we're gonna do something else today. First, my shirt. I can and I will. Will. It's a little workout shirt. It's got the you can't tell, but it's like a mesh. Um, I only have on a sweater right now because the air vent is like right there blowing on me. Um, and I painted my nails. I was so excited. Let me see if I can. That can be upside down. Oh, okay. I painted my nails this color. It's like a black with blue sparkles. It's called Stargazer. I was really hoping that it would look better. Oh, there we go. I got this at Hot Topic. It's a little skull. I actually have two. I have a green one. It's just green sparkles. Um, this one it says Stargazer Forest. Made in the United States. It is by the brand Blackheart Beauty. Painted my nails. Yeah, go me. And my coffee today is breakfast blend. I'm pretty sure. I woke up before my kiddo did, so it's almost gone. My husband is working with his dad today, and so the toddler might pop in because I have the door open. She's watching Tokyo, but her iPad isn't here because she was gonna sit with me. And then while I was getting all prepared, she was like, "Mama, TV? You want to watch the TV?" Mm-hmm. Okay, what do you want to watch? Netflix. So Netflix is on. um, Tokyo is a new show that she started watching. It's okay. Stephen Fry does the voiceover or the narrator voice, so can't be that bad, can it? Um, so I was listening to, or I still am listening to, what's it called? Hawk Quest by Robert Lyndon, something like that. And when I downloaded it, I didn't realize how long it was gonna be. Um, it is like 26 hours long. I have 16 hours left, and I've been listening to it for almost a month. Um, that being said, I haven't really had time to listen to it. My earbuds, the ones that don't have the string, they haven't been holding a charge. I don't know why. The little case says, it has the light saying that they're fully charged, and then I take one because I listen to one, and then I'll, do the other one when this one dies. And it's been blue, like, hey, we're charged, and then I'll take it out and I'll put it in and I'll walk around to like the kitchen, which is not very far. And by the time I get there, it's usually connected, and it'll be like connected, powering down. And when I look at it, it's doing the flashy red like it's dying. And I'm like, what? And then I walk back over to the case thinking, okay, maybe this one just wasn't in all the way or something. I don't know how it works. And the case will be flashing red like it's dying also. And I'm like, what? What? You've been plugged in all night. And then my headphones with the cord, my little earbuds with the cords, haven't been staying connected properly. So like I'll be in the middle of listening to something and it'll just like stop. And I think I have an old phone. I think it's the little earphone jack. I don't think it's my stylus also doesn't stay in. So eventually I'm just gonna have to get a new phone. But I will get it listened to eventually. And I'm also like physically reading um what is it called? We talked about it a few episodes ago. Hold on. I read it in high school. Oh my gosh, what's it called? It's on here, right? Hunger Games. I was like, have I been reading a book that's not on here? Thinking that it's on here. Hunger Games. Um, but we've been having problems going to sleep at night. My toddler, aka my toddler. And by the time I get her to sleep, it's like midnight, and I'm like, I can't stay up and read. I'm tired. Um, and then this week we went to my grandma's, her nana's. Both of the nanas were there, and our cousins, and we played. And then we came home, and she doesn't seem like she's feeling too good, and she's got like the nose, yeah. And then last night she had some hives on her legs, and I'm like, what's happening? Um, the hives are gone. Um, and I can now officially tell y'all about one of my stressors. Um, we're moving. We're going to be moving. So now that I don't have to stress about if we're moving or not, I don't know exactly the date that we're moving, but we're going to be moving. So there's that. So instead of doing a review today and a spoiler next week, um, I am going to talk about the podcast that I've been listening to. Um, Now I know that the book, The Hawk Quest, is probably okay for me to listen to around a 2-year-old because she probably doesn't understand what's going on. But hard to focus. It's hard to focus on for me because it's very. It's just not something that I'm interested in listening to be honest. But then there's like sword fights and men on a ship with one lady. Don't worry, nothing happens to the lady, at least not so far. We'll find out. Anyway, so I decided that I would talk about my podcast, or not my podcast, the podcast that I listen to. The podcast that I listen to. Oh my gosh. I am not ready to have a podcast. And then I think just in case this happens again, I'm gonna have some videos that I can just like throw in randomly made in advance. Like I have a lot of board games and stuff. Maybe I'll do some reviews on those just to have them on the computer so I can just be like bloop. And then also I'll be prepared so that whenever I do move, I'm not like, "Oh, I don't have any videos to post for however long I don't have a computer." So, that being said, we're going to talk about the podcast. I use Google Podcasts. And right now, you're about to see into my soul. No, I'm just kidding. There's if you look on here, it'll under subscriptions, it has at least 4 that you listen to the most. And yeah. So I've been listening to a podcast called Seeking Witchcraft, and it's pretty good. Um I'm into witchy things, okay? I wouldn't say that I was a witch, but I definitely like the aesthetic and reading about that kind of thing. So I thought I would dive a little deeper. Um, this podcast is by a lady named Ashley. I was gonna say girl, and I was like, well, she's not a girl. She's in her 20s, and she's a witch, and so she talks about different witchy things, and it's not all like she's not teaching you how to do spells and stuff. She's pretty much just talking about life and how her witchcraft stuff fits in. And I just enjoy listening to the conversation. She also interviews a lot of people that are in different covens and stuff, and they talk about, the different holidays and different mindsets of the different people. Like, not every witch is the same, and like your witch, just because that person's craft looks one way, yours isn't gonna look the same. Like, it's it's interesting to listen to. I don't know how to put that. I like to listen when occasionally she'll do where her and like two or three of her friends, they'll just like drink some wine and talk about random witch stuff. And I love listening to those because they just go on tangents and they just like spiral into something that wasn't even on topic of what they were talking about. It's hilarious. Um they talk about red flags, because apparently, just like normal people, there are people out there that will be like, yeah, we're a coven, come and join us, and then they want you to do things that is not something you should be doing. And she's like, yeah, red flag. um so the second one that I've listened to the most is called Always Open. And if you can actually, okay, I don't know how to explain their situation. So they're always open. But then if you find them on YouTube, they've recently started, cuz they do it live. Like, they record themselves recording the podcast, which a lot of people do apparently. I didn't realize that until recently. Um and so it's always open, but they recently are now being called All Good No Worries. And I'll just read what it says. It says Always Open is a woman-led comedy and advice podcast that covers sex, relationships, mental health, and everything in between. So I used to listen to them back when they were just Always Open. They are from Rooster Teeth. If I've ever talked about them, I can just keep going. Um, they make one of my favorite TV shows, which my kid is named after, and I guess American animes. She's named after one of the characters. Anyway, so they just talk about, you can send in questions and you might get your question answered on there, but they talk about relationships and, relationships. This is the most well, there's a new one. It just popped up. The one that I just listened to was long-term relationships and having to work hard at relationships, creating boundaries and toxic friendships. And of course, that's not the only thing they talk about. These are like an hour to 2 hours long. So I don't ever listen to these in one sitting. And I don't listen to these where my kid can hear them because they cuss a lot and they talk about, female problems and that time of the month and all the other stuff. And one of the episodes that they recently had, since they've come back as All Good No Worries, I cried. I cried because I was like, I feel this so hard. Like, one of the ladies that was on there was a new mom, and then the other one, they were talking, like, her and her partner are talking about having a kid, and it was just, like, they talked about how everything changes when you're a mom, but it was how do you keep friends. Well, I don't have friends, so, I was like, I wish I knew all this before. Um, and then they talk about some of the episodes are, like, more funny, and some of the episodes are more serious, and I like it. Also, if you can hear the noise in the background, my kid is back. She's playing her iPad. It's okay. Um, my third one on here, which I'm surprised is not my first one, is Red Web. Red Web. I, it's also a Rooster Teeth one. Three of my top four are Rooster Teeth peoples. Red Web is funny, but it's also okay. It says Red Web dives into internet's most intriguing mysteries, conspiracies, and supernatural events. I don't know if you can hear number blocks in the background. Um, with an appetite for the unknown, Trevor Collins and his co-host Alfredo Diaz analyze various unsolved incidents. Um, I I started listening. Okay, so I found out they had a podcast, and I started listening to them, and from like their first episode, and I caught up, and now I just have to wait every Monday for a new episode because I love listening to them. They are hilarious, but they try to be serious at like I don't think these guys know how to be serious. Like they'll be like, okay, this happened, and then this happened, and then one of them will be like, do you think this? And then they all just bust out laughing because there's actually a third person. They call him the chair. His name is Christian. Um, he looks things up for them. Like one of them will be like, can you look up if they did a research on this section, and okay. And then later he'll cut in and be like, hey, remember that question you asked me? They also like to joke that they are a podcast that talks about movies because randomly they'll be like, oh yeah, this movie, this reminds me of that movie, and they're fun to listen to, especially if you like listening to like mysteries or like conspiracies, but you're like, they're a little bit too scary for me, like I can't listen to them all the time. They are funny. There's always something they slip in that's hilarious. Yeah. And so my fourth top one is called 30 Morbid Minutes. They're also kind of funny, even though they try so hard to be serious. They are some Rooster Teeth peoples also. And they live in two different states. One of them is in California and the other one is in Texas, I believe. So they're doing their podcast like computer, and then someone edits it. I don't know how that works. It says 30 Morbid Minutes investigates morbid and creepy topics, peoples, places, and events pulled from history and headlines of today. Hosted by Jessica and Elise. And theirs are a shorter, they're like 30 to 40 minutes, and they really do hit some topics that I'm like, oh. um one of them was about cruises, and I was like, I've thought about going on a cruise so often that now I'm like, do I still want to go? um, they talked about the beheading of Marie Antoinette, urban legends, the Radium Girls. Like, this is stuff that actually happened in the world, in our history. And s- some stuff like human skin and how it was made into like books and wallets and other things. Uh, the dark origins of nursery rhymes. There are 3 songs that I will not sing with my kid anymore. Um, and a whole lot more. Like, I love listening to them. And then, see, I also, whenever I just want to listen to something creepy that's like really short, I'll listen to a podcast called Scary Mysteries. And it says current true crime news coverage and freaky complications. This podcast has everything you need to scratch the true crime itch. Everything from murder mysteries and missing person cases to ancient sites, mysterious creatures and ghosts. We have you covered. For even more in-depth coverage, you can check out their website. But that one is a short podcast. Like, if I can click on one without turning it on. I can't. Okay. They're usually like 10 to 15 minutes long, and it's they talk about some creepy stuff too, but it's like a deadpan voice, like there's no question to it. He just reads the facts and that's it. So it's kind of adds to the creep factor a little. Yeah. I also listen to podcasts like Simply Podlogical because she makes my favorite nail polish, and I've been watching her on YouTube for whenever she started her YouTube page. I found her and I was like, subscribe. And Popcorn Culture, which is the Carlin brothers, and they also have a YouTube page where they talk about Harry Potter a lot. Like, I thought I was obsessed. um, they talk about random stuff. I have to catch up. I'm a few episodes behind on them, but they're pretty fun to listen to. I'm trying to like there's a lot of I have a lot of podcasts on here that I subscribe to, but there's only really I'm just telling you the top ones that I listen to. Um I thought that Radio Lingo was interesting. It is made by Duolingo and Crooked Media. They talk about um they talk about a lot of stuff that's involved in different languages and how they kind of compare and contrast the different languages, and it's interesting. Like from that's one of my like learning ones. Like I'm like, yeah, that makes sense now. Okay, um, so that one is called Radio Lingo. It looks like this. Oh no. I listened to Felicitations. Huh. It's Felicia Day. She's fun to listen to. She talks about being a mom and uh different things. I haven't caught up to her. I started listening to her last year. I haven't listened to her for a full year yet, so I haven't I'm weird, okay? I have to listen to things in order. So even though there's 108 episodes. I have to start at the earliest episode, which isn't always the first episode, which bothers me, but that's okay. Persister was a good one to listen to with Persister with Candace Lowry. I also watched her on YouTube. She hasn't really made anything recently. And Women in Caskets. Women in Caskets is a good one to listen to if you like horror movies or if you want to hear about bad horror movies. Although one of the movies that they deemed as a bad horror movie, I actually kind of liked it because it was bad. Um but they haven't made anything since March of 2020, and I'm kind of sad because I liked their podcast. Okay, it says, "Welcome to Women in Casket podcast, where a pair of Austin, Texas horror fans pick apart the movies, TV shows, and games, everything else that scares us." And they are like I actually met them. They're cool. And one of them actually was in the that anime I was telling you about that my kid has a name of one of the characters. She actually did a voice in one of she voiced two of the characters. And I don't want to spoil it for you. It's okay. The anime is called Ruby, RWBY. And I think you can watch it on Crunchyroll. You can find some episodes on YouTube, but if you want to watch the whole thing in its entirety, Crunchyroll. I can't watch the last season because I don't have Crunchyroll. I have Funimation. I was like, really? Really? And it used to be occasionally it would be thrown out, like it was on Netflix for a few months and it was on um HBO Max for a while, and it was on, and then for a while you could find it on Hulu. Like it's bounced around, but and it used to be you could watch if you go to the Rooster Teeth website and you sign in or sign up and all that stuff, you could watch it there. Well, the last season is not on there, and I just want to know what happens. I mean, I've seen spoilers because I have Twitter, and Twitter will be like, "Hey, oh sorry, smacked the mic." Twitter will just randomly pop up and be like, "Hey, this person that you followed, which is the Rooster Teeth website and the Ruby website, will has posted this about the episode." I'm like, "Oh, tell me." So I know some things that happened, and then the Always Open that I was telling you about, she is one of the main characters on the show. And so she spoiled some stuff, and I was like, don't tell me. And then the last episode that I listened to, she had I don't think he's the producer, some writers on there and was asking them questions, and I was like, this is so fun to listen to, but like they spoiled a few things, and I was like, I don't want to know. I just want to see it. Um so now I'm just waiting. Waiting for a way to watch it. But Women in Caskets is great for horror movies, and I love horror movies. I love the bad horror movies. I love the good horror movies. There are a few movies that are deemed horror that I was like, that's not a horror movie. And they talk about the It movie. Stephen King's It. They talk about the old one and then they talk about the new one because they were a podcast whenever the new one had come out. And they talk about a lot of stuff. A lot of different movies, like their favorite movies and the Alamo Draft House and Fantastic Fest. Man, I miss listening to them. I really wish they would come back. Um, there's some other stuff that I listen to. Like I have the David Tennant does a podcast on here, and I have a No Guilt Mom and PG-ish, but I haven't really listened to them. Like I listened to like a few episodes. They just weren't. I felt like I kind of felt like I was just being told what to do. If that makes sense. And I I was like, every mom is different. Um, so those are my podcasts that I've been listening to. I'm gonna try to finish listening to the book that I'm listening to, but like I said, I still have 16 hours and I think the book is finally getting interesting, and so maybe I'll pick it back up, but I'll review that later. And then oh man, I have a lot to read before the end of the year. I need to pick up the pace. Okay, I'll do my best. Yeah. I don't know what else to talk about, so I'm gonna go. And I'll edit this video and post it because I waited until Thursday, which is the day that I normally post, to make this video. And hopefully I have it thrown up onto YouTube in a timely manner. My goal is noon every day. So maybe with making all of the videos ahead of time, maybe I can like make it so they're scheduled to post. I don't know how. I'm gonna try. I can do it, but I don't know how soon in advance. Because I know I can do it a day in advance, but I don't know how long. We'll find out. Okay. I will see you all on my next video. I'm gonna finish this last little bit of coffee and then start drinking some water because I feel like I need water. And I'll edit this video, put it up, and I don't know, do yoga, meditate, find something to pack.